Well, the weekend is coming to an end, but that doesn't mean we end here. So, we're going to be doing something really, really fun. All of our reviews are all Japanese wrestling. More specifically, majority of it is all the Joshi wrestling that we've been watching. First two reviews is all both Stardom. The first one is, of course, one of the much recent events prior before New Blood. And this one is at the Yamaguchi place, which is, of course, known as Mayu Iwatani Homecoming Triumphant. Back to Mayu Iwatani's home turf, where she's originally from. I think this is a real fun match. And, of course, we start with the first round of the Cinderella Tournament. That's right. The Cinderella Tournament is going to be very interesting to enjoy. So we're going to see how this is going to play out. And, of course, we got Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling's much recent show. And this one is for the live tour in Springs. This one also took recently today. And also we got ChocoPro 302, where we have three different type of matches. But the main event features a somewhat of a rumble, which I enjoy. And of course, we got a couple of news updates. We definitely got to be sharing some interesting updates with Stardom and a few other things. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Gerard here. So, let's begin with Stardom in Yamaguchi, which is Mayu Iwatani Homecoming Triumphant. Now, we have seen many of these type of shows where many of the Stardom talent go back to their home turf where they're originally from. So that will be the main event with Mayu. She teams up with Koguma and Azuki to take on Oedo Tai. Now, opening match is a three-way. We feature, of course, Yuna Mizumori versus Lady C versus Saya Ida. This one was a pretty interesting match. Now, I wasn't too sure exactly how it's going to play out because I know all these three ladies have picked up wins here and there. But how is it going to go? Well, so this match intended to go to Saya Ida when she applied the Ida Bashi onto Lady C. And I think Lady C couldn't believe it that she actually got pinned by Saya Ida. So that's how it plays out. Next match, we got members of Oedo Tai, consistent Ruka and Momo Watanabe. They take on Stars' very own Momo Kogo and Hana. So this is interesting, seeing both the Momos in the same ring, opposite side of each other. I don't know if that's kind of confusing for everybody, but yeah. But it was a very tough match, but because we all know Ruka, who's been decorated what she has done so far, and of course Momo, we all know her reputation. I don't need to repeat myself, but it was of course Ruka with the freezer bomb onto Momo Kogo to pick up the win. Now, I have noticed that Momo's not happy how things have been going for her, losing for almost 2 months. But I'm sure she'll bounce back somewhere. Next up, we got a very interesting 8-woman tag team match. We have Mariah May teaming up with Mina, Natsupoi, and Tam. They take on the members of Queen's Quest, consistent with Miyu Amasaki, Utami Ayashida, Azumi, and Saya Kamitani. Now, we all know on April 23rd in Yokohama, Mina will be facing Kamitani for the white belt. That is something we're definitely going to see. But it's very interesting to see Mariah May team up with Tam for the first time. We know recently that Matsupoi has teamed up with Mina and Mariah May before. But it's very interesting. There was a moment where, of course, Tam actually was looking at Mariah May, but she did tweet it on her Twitter page, calling her she's very cute. It's kind of very interesting compliment coming from her to say that. But as you know, she's part of the Club Venus. So, but it was a pretty good match. I think it was really interesting dynamics to see how Mariah May can team up with Natsupoi and Tam, because as you know, there's been a bit of not tense, but more like Mina distancing herself from Tam mostly. But nonetheless, this match did ended very well when, of course, when it was Natsupoi who picked up the win onto Amasaki with the Feral Gift, and it was really interesting. Now, our next match, we have God's Eye, consistent of Konami, Mirai, Ami Suri, and Suri, taking on DDM's Mai Sakurai, Maika Hinaka, and Julia. I'm sure we definitely have seen many times DDM and Suri, DDM and of course God's Eye come head to head, especially because I know that there's like a special rivalry between both both Julia and Konami, because you guys remember not too long ago, Julia was trying to get Konami to join. Konami had no interest, but nonetheless, the match was really good. It was, of course, what's her name? Mirai with the lariat onto Sakurai to pick up the win. So, good job from there. Now, our main event, of course, we have Oedo Tai, consisting of Starlight Kid, Saki Kashima, and Natsuko Tora, taking on Stars, Koguma Azuki, and Mayu Iwatani. Now, if you all remember clearly, Stars has always been an intense rivalry between Oedo Tai, and not to mention Kid said that they're going to make their mark in Mayu Iwatani's hometown, but man, Stars were being brutalized in every corner. I mean, not to mention the seconds like Ruka and Momo were even getting themselves involved in this particular match. But it took Mayu to finally put away Kashima in order to pick up a win with the moonsault. So that was an excellent win. Stars go home with the win, but most specifically, the homegirl, Mayu. Now, she even said this is the first time she's ever been into her hometown, and I think that is very special, because I'm sure we're all waiting for the movie to come out, The Runaway Wrestler. But she gave some excellent news for everyone. Now, she said that on Yokohama, she is now going to be the challenger for the IWGP Women's title. But however, during the process of this, it was still unclear whether it was going to be official or not. We know that Azuki made a play for the IWGP Women's title, and so did Azumi, but it was nothing official yet. But Mayu did state, that it doesn't matter who it is, but she does hope it's Azuki so they can have that match. They should challenge each other, which is kind of like a promise. But one thing that was funny, they gave the mic to to Koguma, and I thought this was really funny. Koguma only had a few words to say. She's saying that if Azuki or Mayu cannot pick up the win for the IWGP title, she'd be the next one to do it. And they're like, huh? And he's like, you're the one who I had no choice to say it. So basically, it's like she didn't know what to say, but why not? So it's like, okay, I have to say that's an interesting promo from Koguma. But it was very energetic to see the Yamaguchi fans being there. So I thought it was a pretty good show. I enjoyed it. So I think that's pretty much it with this particular part of Stardom. So let's go with the Cinderella Tournament right now. Okay, so right now we're in the Cinderella Tournament, first round by Stardom. As always, we always see the ceremony introducing the participant. But before we move on to that, as you know, our first match features Lady C and X. Now, we didn't know who was it going to be. Now, if you guys paying attention or not, this is what happened. This was at the pre-show that you can see, not to mention it was on YouTube. The commentators of the night actually introduced Waka because, as you know, Waka had an impressive win at New Blood Premium, defeating Nanane Takahashi and Kairi, where she initially pinned the World of Stardom champion and a Goddess tag team champion. But however, we all knew for a fact already that, Waka wasn't really scheduled to participate in the Cinderella tournament. However, Rossi comes out announcing the opponent who will be facing Lady C was Waka. Now Waka was a bit more, huh, for real. So I thought it was really her reaction was so great to see that she can't even believe it. And of course, Rossi tells her to go backstage and get ready. So she runs over there, and I see the commentators are like a bit more like, "Are you sure you really want to do this?" I think Rossi, I don't know, from this facial expression from Rossi, it's more like if she was able to defeat Nana Takahashi, she's able to defeat someone like Lady C. Now, keep in mind, Lady C and Waka go way back from back in 2021. They were opponents, and then, of course, they were tag partners before they went to the respected units. But nonetheless, the match was somewhat special in some ways. Now, keep in mind, Lady C does have won over Waka, and we all ask ourselves ever since that memorable night when Waka finally picked up her first win, what was next? I don't think none of us predicted this at all. I'm sure none of you did, but nonetheless, the match was pretty good. Seeing Waka going back into the ring, and we weren't sure if she walks out as the winner, but once again, she pulled another miracle when she pulled off the Aussie suplex roll up and 1, 2, 3. Even Lady C couldn't even believe it that she got pinned. And at first, you thought she was angry with her, but she was very happy. I saw this on Twitter. She was a bit disappointed and upset the way she lost, but she couldn't take this one away from Waka because despite the fact she knows she does have a win over her, so they'll come across each other at some point. But I don't think none of us imagined her to pick up this win like this. We know last year she was participating in the Cinderella Tournament. She didn't even pass the first round. So it's interesting. We'll talk a little bit about the how this match ended and what's next for the upcoming Cinderella Tournament. But let's move forward. Our next match, we have Mayu Iwatani taking on Saya Iida. Pretty good match. Not the best, but good. It was, of course, Saya Iida who picked up the win with the Iida Bashi. And just like that, she wins. Next match, it was Yuna Mizumori versus Ami Sourei. I thought this match was a bit of a powerhouse type match. However, I wasn't too clear. Okay, how's this gonna go? I know Yuna can use the Superman or the Tropical Crusher, but I failed to mention this. I alluded to this just now. If you guys don't know the Cinderella Tournament rules, this is how you win. You win either by pinfall or submission, or over the top. However, this scenario has often come about. They only have a 10-minute time limit. So if there's no winner by the end of the match, automatically the competitors are eliminated completely, both of them. And if it's the same thing, if they eliminate themselves outside of the ring, it's the same thing as well. But in this case, for the Yuna Mizumori and Ami Sourei, Ami tossed her outside the ring and basically wins like that with the over the top. I didn't expect that either. Now, our next match, we have Haruka Omasaki and Starlight Kid. Now, this is a very interesting thing. Now, we know these two have faced each other before during a New Blood show, but they have recently teamed up. And I thought this was a really tough match between the two of them. But I did not predict this match was going to go into a draw where they eliminate themselves outside the ring. So it was very unusual, but they were the first draw. Now, this was also announced recently. Another XX, basically someone will be facing Hina from Queen's Quest. And it turns out this new person is this person X. Her name is Xena. And it later is revealed Xena is now the newest member of Club Venus. That's right. It was very unexpected. But they did mention that Xena was trained by Robbie Eagles. That's right, folks. She was trained by the Sniper of the Skies. I did a little research on her. She has never wrestled outside of Australia before, but now she's wrestling outside of Australia and Japan. So she is now officially a member of Club Venus. It's very interesting now to see that Club Venus is growing. But it was Xena with a somewhat of a double knee drop onto the abdomen of Rena that picked up the win. So basically, Club Venus really, really is growing up. Now, speaking of Club Venus, Mariah May, in fact, gets gets in the ring and faces Rena. Now, as you know, Rena is this snot-nosed little brat who likes to call women who are older than her old hags. Well, this old hag actually put her in her place by applying the happily ever after. So, basically, that teaches her a lesson. Next match, we have, of course, Saki Kashima versus Momo Kogo. I think this is another interesting matchup because, as you know, Momo has competed for the high-speed belt but came up short. However, Saki Kashima is going to be competing for the high-speed belt. We don't know when will that happen. So it's it's very interesting how this one was going to go because it's high-speed time, but it was Kashima who picked up the win with the Kishikase. Another disappointing loss with Momo. I don't know why Momo keeps losing for the last 2 months, but yeah. Next up, we got Hanan versus Mirai. I've always enjoyed Mirai, how she shows a lot of tenacity when it comes to pulling off some interesting moves to get the fans going. But she applied, of course, as simple the mare onto Hanan, forcing her to submit. Next match, we have Tekla returning. She faces Koguma. Tekla wasn't even going to fall for the usual tricks for Koguma. I thought that was also pretty interesting. But Koguma tried to do that little thing where she's upside down and back. I don't think she could hold it. But, of course, Tekla did not like what she was doing. But, however, she did pick up the win with the O'Connor roll, allowing to advance into the next round. Next up, we got a bit of a Oedo Tai showdown between two tag partners, Ruka and Natsuko Tora. I like how this one was so intensified because you know for a fact that Ruka wants to win, Natsuko Tora wants to win. That's how it is. Man, I think this was a very intense match, but however, it was Natsuko Tora with the Swanton Bomb, allowing her to win. Now, next match, we have a bit of a God's Eye showdown. We have Tomoka Inaba and Sudi facing off. Excellent strikers. I'm not sure if Tomoka has any submission techniques, but nonetheless, it was a pretty good match. Sudi put Tomoka away with the Baiko, and that was it. Now, our next match, we have Azuki and Azumi. As you know, as of today, we are now been told that it will be a three-way match between these two. The face Mercedes Moné for the IWGP Women's title. But however, this match was so intense. But don't forget, these two know each other completely. As you guys remember, Hazuki was a member of Queen's Quest. That's how she knows Azumi. But this match ended with a draw when they both went over the top. So, another interesting matchup. However, this next match is very interesting. We have Mas Sakurai and Julia DDM showdown, but this one is between master and student. I know some of you probably thought in the back of your heads that this one was going to go with Julia because she is, of course, the top girl, and not to mention she is good what she does in the ring. But surprisingly, this match fell in favor of Mas Sakurai. Now, I don't know why, because it felt like both of them went off the ring. They were already over the rope, but Mas Sakurai applied like a suplex, and they both landed outside the ring. But I wasn't too sure from what I saw. It seems like they both, I don't know if it was the same time or the referee saw, okay, Julia was the one who got hit first, but Sakurai won. And of course, Sakurai now claims that this tournament falls under her now, that she's going to make it all the way through. This was a huge upset, you know. But I'm sure Julia's not going to forget this. Now, our next match, this is another showdown between friends, rivals, however you want to put it. Mina Shirakawa and Natsupoi. Now, keep in mind, these two ladies had their sights set for the white belt. Now, I did mention in last year's for the 5-star Grand Prix when in the finals, Mina and Natsupoi faced off before. However, I always did say that Mina felt that she was the chosen one to go chase for the white belt. And now it's like this thing again. So it was more like who's going to want it more. But in this case, once again, Mina had Natsupoi outside the apron, and they put her in the figure 4, but Natsupoi rolled out, and of course, putting themselves outside the ring into a draw, they both were eliminated. So basically, Mina did say that if she wins the white belt at Yokohama on the 23rd of April, she will nominate Natsupoi. And Natsupoi said the same thing as well. Now, our next match, we have Mayu Iwatani versus Saya Kamitani. I don't know exactly how this one was going to turn out because, of course, you got Mayu, who's the icon. Kamitani, one of the best white belt champions we've seen so far. It was like so interesting. But, however, they both went over the top and eliminated themselves by accident into a draw. Next match, we have Mayu Iwatani and Maika. Man, this was like a battle of striking. But, of course, Maika, we know she has been in the finals of the Cinderella Tournament. What was it? Back in 2021. She was so close. And Momo, we all know what she wants to do. But I was impressed how this match ended because they, Momo did like a Meteora right outside the apron, right where Maika is. And Maika went off the ring. So that gives Momo Watanabe the advancement. Next match, we have Nanane Takahashi versus Utami Ayashida. Very intensified match in every aspect. I don't know if Utami has ever faced Nanane before, but nonetheless, this match ended in a 10-minute time limit draw. So both of them were eliminated. Now, our next match and main event is Himeka versus Tam Nakano. As you know, Himeka is already coming to the end of her journey, as you know, as a wrestler. But Tam walked away with the win with the violent screwdriver. She won the main event, and of course, she said some comments about Julia, and also she feels that this will be the proper way to finally get an opportunity to get a chance of the red belt. But however, in the post-match comments, she did mention that only she and Waka are the only two right now, as this moment, are in the tournament still alive. But she did state that imagine if those two make it to the finals. I mean, I know some of you would think of that too. You know, student versus teacher. I mean, that would be a killer, but we just got to wait and see. However, let's talk a little bit about, you know, the interesting thing about this tournament, because this is what's going to happen in the next round, the next few rounds that we get to see. I just recently said this, but there'll be, pull it up. Okay, as you know, this is for the next round that'll be coming up soon. Mariah May will be facing Mai Sakurai, but here's the kicker. Whoever wins between those two will face Momo Watanabe in the quarterfinals. Here we go again for round 3 between these two. Sudi versus Saki Kashima. Now, Kashima mentioned on her post-match that she hopes that Tomoka wins her match. She doesn't want to face Sudi. Sorry, girl. Your nightmare is coming. So basically, it will be Sudi versus Saki Kashima. However, whoever walks out of this match, they will face Waka Tsukiyama. Now, somebody actually tweeted this saying, okay, imagine Kashima beating Sudi, but losing to Waka. I mean, that is a fantastic thing, but I don't know. I would like to see that. And then, of course, we got Natsuko Tora versus Tam Nakano. Whoever wins between those two will face Ami Sudi in the quarterfinals. And then the remaining 2 matches, we have Mirai versus Saya Ida. And then finally, we have Tekla versus Xena. I wouldn't be surprised if Tekla and Xena start a rivalry. That is something we definitely see. So this is what's going to happen in the upcoming rounds. I'm sure we're going to pay attention with Mariah May and Mai Sakurai, Sudi versus Saki, Natsuko Tora, and versus Tam Nakano in the other two matches. I think they're going to focus on those at the moment. So that's what we have for now for the Cinderella Tournament. Let's move on to the next review, Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling. Okay, Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling. This one is the live tour in spring. This one just also was recently. Opened up with a very interesting opener. We have the Toga, who is one of the new girls that made her appearance recently, take on Wakana Uiraha. Very interesting matchup. Um, I think I did like since I haven't seen Tokyo Pro Wrestling for a while, not since I reviewed the Grand Princess. I have to say Wakana was really impressive from what I can see. She picked up a really good win when she applied a jackknife, which seems like a simple finisher, but I'm sure she'll figure something out. But nonetheless, she picked up the win. Next up, we got Shino Suzuki versus Raku. As you know, these two ladies are part of the Up Girls, idol group. I have to say is very interesting. I know Raku has more experience than Shino. I kind of figured that's how it's going to go because Raku's been with the promotion a little bit more longer um, than Shino, but nonetheless, it was a jumping front neck lock that put away Shino and give Raku the win. Next up, we got ladies trios actions. We got Runa Okubo, Haru Kazushiro, and Yuki Kamifuku. They take on Kaya Toribami, Moka Miyamoto, and Yuka Sakasaki. So this is a very interesting one. As you know, we have Haru and Runa, who are the new girls. They're on the side of Yuki Kamifuku, but you're facing against some wrestlers that already have a bit more experience than them. But it was Yuka Sakasaki who picked up the win with the tea time onto onto Okobu to give them the win. Next up, we got tag team action. We have Imaruri teaming up with Pam Harajuku. They take on, of course, Miyu Watanabe and Rika Tatsumi. Nonetheless, the match was pretty good, but they have to be more careful with Pam Harajuku. She is a bit of a she has a knack of being up to no good. But however, as you know, we see Miyu with the giant swing, but it was, of course, Rika Tatsumi with the Dragon Sleeper on Imarari, and she had to tap out. Next up, we have what's the name? Aruna Neko teaming with Yuki Inoue. They take on Hyper Misawa and Shoko Nakajima. Pretty good match, but they, as you know, you got to be more careful with Hyper Misawa, the resident superhero who likes to cheat a little bit. But it was, of course, the Hipami returns onto Neko that allowed Hyper Misawa to pick up the win. Now, our next match, we have Mahito Kiru teaming up with Free Wi-Fi, consistent of Hikari Noa and Nao Kakuta. As you know, Nao Kakuta is going to be the next challenger for the Princess title. Mizuki teams up with Daisy Monkey, Zuzumi, and Risu Indu. I thought this was a very interesting match because Suzumi and Arisu Endo has never been in the main event. But it's great now that they are getting a little taste of that, especially when they're teaming with, of course, the current top champion, Mizuki. And it was pretty good, but it was, of course, who was it? Arisu Endo, no, Mizuki with the diving foot stomp that allowed them to win. So it's great to see this match happen. Not to mention, it is, like I said, Arisu Endo and Zuzumi being in the main event. Nothing wrong with that. But don't know when that match between, I think I did mention, hold on, let me pull it up. I know I said that Mizuki and, of course, Naoka Kudo will be facing off. Let me pull that up. Yes, those Mizuki and Kakuda will be facing each other on the 14th of April, no, 15th of April. So yes, so we got to pay attention to that. But yeah, so that's pretty much it with that. So let's go with ChocoPro 302. Okay, our final review, the much recent show by ChocoPro 302. Now, on a note here, Mei Suruga and Balinaki are not present. They're currently here in the States, if you guys know this, because as you know, we're getting now closer to WrestleMania weekend. But at this point, they are doing a wrestling match with Beyond Wrestling. And then after that, they'll be heading to LA for the Jimmy Lloyd's D-Generation F, which they'll be participating in a four-way tag match, which is going to be awesome. I'm so excited to see that match. However, I have to say, without their presence, I'd say it was a pretty interesting match we have. Now, our opening match, we have Miya Yotsuba teaming up with Black Kominachi, Tokiko Kirihara, and Antonio Honda. Now, these two are people who they have lost in the past, but however, their opponents is none other than the members of the Uma Corp. We're talking about Sayaka Obihiro, Kojio, and Tiger G Shinjuku. Now, you probably would have thought this match will be a little interesting because the Uma Army has often attacked the ChocoPro Got to Move roster on certain occasions. But this time, I thought the Uma Army were about to take this, but thank God for Mia. She helped pick up her first win when she whacked with the fan. Sayaka Obihiro, and just like that, they picked up the win. This is her first win in a tag team match, but she hasn't picked up her first win as a singles competitor just yet. So that will be interesting to watch, I'm sure. So I thought it was great. Now, our next match, we have Chiko Shikawa teaming up with Kinoka, or should we say, when he's there, he's Mei Suruga. They take on CDK's Chris Brooks and Masahiro Takanashi. But I don't know how Chris Brooks would be in this. He said that he prefers this Mei Suruga over the original. But Oka was actually doing a great impression. Now, you probably would thought there would have been a good match on this one, where, as you know, if they would have picked up a win against CDK, they would get a shot of the Asian Dream Tag Team titles, but it did not go. They put both Kenoka and Chiko Shikawa in a submission. They both tapped out just like that, so it was interesting. Now, our next and final match is a Rumble match. All competitors who were already in the first two matches, with the exception of our current Super Agent Champion. If you probably ask yourselves, okay, how does this Rumble match work, since they're in a tight space? So this is how it plays out. Either you win by submission or pinfall, or you be thrown off the window. Yes, since there's no ring, if you're outside the chocolate square or through the window, you're out. But I thought they were going left and right. Majority of the people were thrown out from the window. But my favorite moment in the end is Chiko Shikawa in confronting Hagine Shino, who in fact they were tag team partners known as Egg Tarts. But it was she who picked up the win when she tossed Hagane right through the window, giving the win. However, her little victory came up short because we jump into Jonkin, and she lost immediately. Who did she lose to? But she lost just like that. But I wasn't too 100% sure how this was going to go down. But however, it was Mia Yutsuba who picked up the win for the Jonkin. She beats, who was it that she beats? I forgot who she beats, but it was great. So she gets the chocolate. So I think that's pretty much it with the ChocoPro. Let's do some news updates. Okay, we got some very exciting news. Those who know this, recently we have been seeing the stars of Got to Move / ChocoPro make appearances at Deadlock Pro Wrestling. As you know, Emi Sakura is the current women's champion. We have seen the Best Bros make their appearance in the promotion. However, now we're going to see the roster of Deadlock Pro Wrestling head their way to Japan next month. That's right, there's going to be two crossover shows in April on the 25th and 27th of April. Both shows will be in two different locations. Don't know which one, but the venues they are going to use is the Shinkiba First Ring and Shinjuku Face. So those are the venues that will be closing. I'm so excited to see this because I would surprise it. Maybe they're going to build up a partnership. I'm not sure, but that would be great. Now, for all you Hana Kimora fans out there, it's now been told that there will be this year a Hana Kimora Memorial Show, and the name of the title's called Pinx. I think that's what it's called. Is Pinx. Don't know much, but if you probably ask me who will participate in the show, well, two names have already announced. Sayuri Inouye will be involved in this show. Those who don't know, Sayuri Inouye and Hana Kimora do know each other. They met before. Ever since her passing, Sayuri Inouye often talks about Hana Kimora, so it's great to hear that. But recently, Miyu Momono from Marvelous has announced that she will participate too. But now it's also been foretold by Scott E. Wrestling from Fightful, where Scott Edwards from Fightful Select, he said that 3 Stardom talents are set to be in this memorial show. They haven't said who, but can't wait to see if there's any new updates. I'll let you guys know. Now, interesting match has been set for the GCW, the Joey Janela Spin Break 7 on the 31st of March. We're going to have Bussy, Ali Catch, and Effie. They take on Maki, Def, Kill. That's right. This is the first time we're going to see Maki Ito and Nick Gage teaming up, and this is going to be a great match. However, they say this is going to be a one-time only match between Maki and Nick Gage teaming up. So that's going to be interesting to watch. Now, speaking of GCW, they announced that they are going to return back to New York City in May 11th and on July 14th. So stay tuned for that. I'll be keeping close eye on this. Now, finally, some interesting developments coming up from Stardom. Few things here. On the 2nd of April at Korakuen Hall, it's been announced. If you guys remember, Himeka and Natsupoi had their match earlier this month. Himeka mentioned about a previous match that they had a couple years back in 2018 between Himeka teaming with Miyuki Takase versus Natsupoi and Kagero Sakiguchi. Now it's going to happen. It's been decided. They're going to, in fact, have this match on April 2nd in Korakuen Hall. So that's going to be this Sunday. However, that's not one of the matches that's been announced for that particular day. The artist belts will be put on the line. Prominence will be defending them against the members of Queen's Quest, Azumi, Sayaka Mitani, and Utami Ashida. As you know, they're trying to bring these belts back to Stardom because, as you know, Prominence are the freelancers, the foreign team that none of the Stardom roster wants to have their property in there. Now, on April 6th, speaking of Himeka, it's now been decided in Sendai girls that in Sendai that Mina Shirakawa will finally have her match against Himeka, part of the Himeka retirement road. So this is going to be interesting. Himeka did warn, said that the results will be the same, but Mina gave her the warning. Don't underestimate her. We have seen Mina has changed over time, especially before her accident and now after it. So we'll see that. But however, Mina did state it on the post-match comments at the Cinderella Tournament that she also is going to introduce a brand new member into Club Venus. So that's pretty much it. That's from what I'm hearing. She even said that the Club Venus will serve as an overseas Cosmic Angel type. I'm not sure if that's true, but we'll see. Now, our final update here on the Stardom updates here. As you know, people have often talked about Sareee. People imagine that she was going to go to Stardom now that she's a free agent. Recently, Sareee mentioned that she would like to have an opportunity to challenge for the IWGP Women's title. However, Rossy Ogawa put this up, made this comment towards Sareee, but it's not like anything bad, but more like an open invitation in some way. Let me pull it up right here for all of you so I can read it. This is what was translated by this guy on Twitter. Here it is. This is what he said about Sareee. If Sareee wants to challenge for the IWGP Women's title, she should come to Stardom show and express her determination. Now, some of you may question, why would he say that to have her come down to Stardom to watch a show? This is something that Jungle Kyona mentioned, that if you're planning to come to work with Stardom, like join their dojo system, then you have to first watch one of their shows to see what's the scene like. So I think that's like a way for her saying, come on, check it out. Even what's her name, Hashimoto from Sendai actually went to a Stardom show and watched it. So that was when, of course, we're gonna see her face off Sudi soon enough. But we'll get to that at some point. But for now, I think this is it, what we have for our news updates. So let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. As you know, I think I may have 2 more Stardom shows I need to catch up yet. And if there's anything else, I'll let you guys know. There's still some wrestling shows for the remainder of this month that I haven't got a chance to check out, but I'll get to those soon enough. As you know, we got the AEW Dark Elevation. That is still part of what I'm planning, but we'll get to that as well. So I'll just wing it, as always. So for now, I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day. Bang.